Minor online हमारे
Assalamu alaikum hello joy balani
আসসালাম তো সময় মতো শুরু করলাম আমার কথা তো about 30-40 জন ইফতি আর ইয়তা জয়েন হবানি
আমি দুজনের লিংক তো শেয়ার করলাম ভালো তারা থ্যাংক ইউ দিলা আমরা গ্রুপ আছে আমি টেক্সট দিছি ভালো
আচ্ছা দেখা যাক
বাংলাদেশি মানে সেটা লেট
না এটা আজকে যখন যে অন টাইমে জয়েন হতে হবে হ্যালো
মজিদ ভাই আসসালামু আলাইকুম
ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম
আজকে কি ক্লাস হবে না 27 তারিখ
হ্যাঁ ক্লাসে তো আমরা জয়েন করছি তো
তো আমি আইডি ভাই যেটা কেমন আইডি যেটা আছে ওইটাই
কেন আপনি লেটেস্ট লিংকটা পান নাই
লিংক আগে যেটা দিয়েছিলেন সেকেন্ড সেটা তো
না সেইটা না আগে যেটা 6 তারিখে যেটা দিছিলাম ওইটা না আচ্ছা এটা কি আপনার সেলফোন
জি 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 সেরকম
আচ্ছা তাহলে আমি নতুন লিংক পাঠাইতেছি
আচ্ছা না
ওকে জি আপনার এটাতে তো টেক্সট যায় না। হ্যাঁ ইমেলটা কি বলেন? ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আপনার এটাতে টেক্সট যায় না কি জন্য? আচ্ছা আমি পাঠাইতেছি আপনার। একটা সেকেন্ড রাখেন, একটা সেকেন্ড। জি একটা সেকেন্ড। এম কিউ আচ্ছা যে 00 জি 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 পাঠাইছি। হ্যাঁ ওকে ওকে দেন। Okay, so for the first class, we delayed few minutes, but starting next Monday, if you want to join the class, please be on time because we'll start it on time, exactly at 6 o'clock. Okay, so let me introduce myself. যদিও এখানে সবাই বাঙালি আছেন তারপরেও I prefer to speak in English because this is what's going to help you in the market, inshallah. And there are some of the stuff. Even though I can say it in Bengali, but those things cannot be said in Bengali. Like for example, TCP/IP. TCP/IP has to be said in TCP/IP. Okay. Now, so my name is Mohiuddin Ahmed. We are doing this class on behalf of our masjid, Masjid Abu Huraira, to introduce this masjid as a educational institute. Also in the future, inshallah, we'll have an Islamic school. So this is just a beginning. Okay, since the class is going to be on Zoom, if you have anybody else to join, they can start, they can join until next Monday, because today we are not covering that much, but after next Monday we'll not let anybody else in, because then they will not be able to move with us. Okay, so anyway, my name is Mohiuddin Ahmed. I live in East Elmhurst, very close to Masjid Abu Huraira, New York. And I work for a ISP, Internet Service Provider. It's called Altis USA. I worked there for last 12 years, and overall IT experience, I have about 25, more than 25 years. So Alhamdulillah, I love my job. Okay, there is not a day that I find it boring. Oh. Can you hear me all?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay. So did you hear last few minutes I said something or no?
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as I said, my name is Mohiuddin Ahmed, and I'll be running this class on behalf of our masjid because I love our masjid. Our masjid is going to have a Islamic school very soon, and this is just a beginning of our introduction to the world as a Islamic and regular institute, also educational institute. Okay, I'm very excited to start this class. So there are, give me just 1 second, there are people since first day, some of them are having issues logging into the Zoom. Hello. জি
আমি নাসিম বলছিলাম, আজকে ক্লাসটা করার সময়
এই তো 6টার সময় আমরা শুরু করছি অলরেডি, জয়েন করেন।
সেম লিংকে নাকি ডিফারেন্ট লিংক?
when did you get the link?
ওই আগেরটা আগে যখন দিছিলেন, যেটা ফার্স্ট ক্লাসেরটা।
না, then give me your email address, I'll forward you the link.
ওকে, আমি টেক্সট করে দিন।
হ্যাঁ, then
নাকি এখনই দিব?
না, টেক্সট করে দেন, that's fine.
কারণ আমি বললে আপনি আবার লিখতে nasim.shafiquzzamon@gmail.com।
তাহলে টেক্সট করে দেন। এটাই মনে
আচ্ছা
হয়।
এখন দিচ্ছি।
জি। Okay, so I'm back, and I apologize, since this is the first day. So anyway, let's start again. So, as I said, I'm very excited to start this class, and I hope I hope all of you will be benefited from this class. In the field of IT, if you look at the Indians, they are dominating the US market. And if you look at the job market, well, nowadays almost every field has jobs, but if you look at the job market in particular, high paying job market, then medical is number one and number two is IT. Okay. And IT is one of the field, if you have some certifications, you can work in the market, but no other field, such as medical field, you have to have a degree in medical in order to work in the medical field. So anyway, I don't want too much introduction, but I have to give you some good news and bad news. The good news is that anybody who spent time sincerely, they will be able to learn the courses we are teaching. Okay. Bad news is there are students I saw. I taught in many schools before, around 2000 to 2005 or 6. So I see some people, they come with very high expectations, and they feel like that there is some type of magic tablet, I give it to somebody, and the following day they become an IT engineer. Okay. It doesn't work that way. Okay. In order for, okay, if you can send me the text in Zoom, then most likely you are already there. If not, then let me know or raise your hand. I see 2 addresses. Okay.
I'm sorry, I sent 2 because we are 2 person from one account because we visiting somewhere. That's why we log in from one account. We are 2 person here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. This class, we are not registering anybody because it's a free class. And just because it's free doesn't mean it can be taken lightly. Okay. Take it very seriously. Like, let's say if somebody, put his 100%, I'll not be the one who will be benefited. You will be the one who will be benefited. So this is your choice. Okay. This class is not that difficult that nobody can learn. And this class is not that easy that anybody can learn. Just I come and go, I join the class whenever I please. If I don't join, I'll be still fine. No, it doesn't work that way. Once upon a time, let's say banks, they used to have big ledger books. They used to write down people's names, people's balance sheet, like how much money they have, how much money they withdraw, how much money they deposit. Nowadays, everything is in computers. And these IT professionals handles those computers. So imagine if you don't know what you are doing and if you are managing one of the computer system, what a disaster you can create. Okay, I worked for Bank of America. I have seen, how those people who on the back end, like for example, if you go to Bank of America, withdraw some money, okay, this information has to come to the ATM machine. Once you withdraw the money, that information has to be updated in a backend database. So there are a lot of things goes on the back end. Okay, we'll be, as a IT professionals, we'll be working on the back end, not in the front end. Like everybody knows how to go to Facebook. Okay, but in this class, we'll be learning how those Facebook's engineers work on the back end to give you the environment in order for you to log in, post something, give a like, or share something. Okay, so always think about the guy who is working on the back. Okay, the person you don't see. Okay, this is a very, very tough class. Okay, no question about that. But as I said, we'll make it easy. Our website, hopefully, inshallah, by tomorrow, website will be updated with this new video and things we'll be doing. Okay, before next Monday, I'll give you exactly what we'll teach from this class. Okay, so let's start with what is Linux. Okay, if you have any question, feel free to unmute yourself and raise the question. There is no dumb question. Your question might benefit you and others also. Okay, so if you are not asking any question, please put yourself in mute, because sometimes on the background, the person whose phone or computer is not muted, he might not realize that the sound is coming, but everybody else would. Okay, so let's start with what is Linux. The computer you see, let's say, let me share it. Let me share my screen. Where is it? Share screen. Okay. So I hope you can share, you can see my screen, right? Do you see it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Now, so what is Linux? Let's say right now I'm working on a computer that is running Windows 2010. Okay. What is Windows 2010?
So operating system.
It's an operating system. What is the operating system? We all know Windows 2010 is an operating system, but what is the operating system? Okay, operating system is, or simply we can call it OS, right? OS is nothing but a system to operate a hardware, right? A computer is nothing but a hardware, right? Bunch of electronics, right? Electric flows through that, right? So without an operating system, like for example, when was the last time we went to the CPU on a computer and told the CPU, hey, let's do something for me? Never. It doesn't happen. Okay. So operating system is a medium. Okay. Using that medium, we talk to that hardware. We tell the hardware what to do. Like for example, our CPU, RAM, hard drive, motherboard, keyboard, mouse, you name it, whatever you attach to it, modem, USB, whatever you attach to it, whatever is there, okay, everything works. The way we communicate with those devices, those hardwares, is through the operating system, okay? Simply we call it a OS, right? Or operating system. So what is Linux then? Exactly same as Windows, right? It's just, it has a different interface, okay? Like in Windows, we use mouse and keyboard to type something, right? In Linux also we can use a mouse and keyboard, but You will see later on when you will be working with 400, like for example, the group I work for, we manage about 5,000 computers. Now, could you imagine working with 5,000 computers using keyboard or mouse? It's almost next to impossible. So how do we do that? Okay, we'll learn how to remotely access to a system. Okay, once you remotely access to a system, then you'll see whatever you need to do, you do it, then you move on, you go to the next one. Okay, do you have to work on the system every day? No. Okay, but do you need to communicate with the systems all the time? Yes. So how do they do that? Like for example, our group, we have only 7 people, but we manage 5,000 systems. Okay, some of those systems, they manage about 3 million customers' phone line. Okay, so those systems are extremely critical. Okay, we'll learn how to access remotely to the computers and do our work. Okay, as long as at the end of the day you finish your work successfully, that's all it counts. Okay, so now, as we said, Windows is an operating system, Mac OS is an operating system, Linux is an operating system, Unix is an operating system. There are many other operating systems, but a lot of them just died. Okay, nowadays, the dominant operating system is Windows, Linux, and mostly on the user end, Mac OS. Okay, there are some servers that runs Mac operating system, but that's very limited. Mostly Linux and Windows. As you can see, there is a line here, it says Linux versus Windows. Okay, there is competition, of course, because Windows is managed by Microsoft, and Linux, there are many versions. There are many flavors, actually, you can say. Version can be like, for example, let's say one of the Linux is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu can have different versions. Version 1, 2, I think they went up to version 21. Okay, but what we're saying is Linux can have different flavors. Like Red Hat is the #1. Okay, and our Linux course is going to be geared toward Red Hat certification. Like RHCE. Okay, so our Linux course will be geared toward RHCE. It's a very tough exam. It's not you memorize some question and answers and take the exam. The exam is hands-on. Basically, they will give you a system and they will say they will give you about 17 questions. Like for example, they will say create an NFS between system A and system B. Create a DNS so it can be resolved. Okay, create a volume. Okay, right now these words might sound Greek to you, but once you do it and once you practice it, you will see it's not that difficult at all. Okay, but you have to practice a lot. Okay, IT is one of the field, if you don't do it, you might know something by heart today. If you don't do it for about a month, you might forget. Okay, so let's go back to our PDF. So Linux is operating system. History of Linux, it started with a guy from Switzerland. His name was Linus Torvalds. At that time, Unix was dominant and it was extremely expensive. So he was a programmer and he was an electrical engineer. So he decided that why not let me start an operating system that will be free for everyone. So if you Google through him, his name is Linus Torvalds. He's still alive. Torvalds. Okay, that's the guy, he invented Linux. Okay, You can read his biography on Google. Anyway, he did a great job. He started version of Linux. At that time, it was like a baby operating system, but it improved a lot. Okay, why use Linux? There are a lot of version of Linux that is still free. Like for example, we'll be talking about different flavors of Linux. One of them will be CentOS. Okay, as you can see, there are a lot of CentOS. We'll be talking about Ubuntu. Okay, and then we'll be talking about Debian. Almost all of them are same. And also, if any of you are very interested to go into deeper into Linux, let's say such as security aspects, then you can deal with, it's called Kali Linux. Okay, it's for mostly for penetration users, penetration testers. Okay. So as you can see, we'll be moving very, very quickly because we have a lot of things to cover. Okay. And another thing, let me start with that. Do I know everything about Linux? Absolutely not. Do I know how to get my day by day? Yes. Okay. Also, if I need something new that I really don't know, Google is there for you. Okay. There are very, very good websites such as Stack Overflow, GitHub, and server worlds. You know, we'll see. There are many, many websites that has a lot of good information. Okay. How to install Linux? We'll be doing it within next few minutes. Linux servers versus clients. Okay. Client is like, for example, Windows 2010, right? This is for a individual user. Okay. Like for example, on my computer, I have Windows 2010 installed. Okay. Only I can use it. At the same time, can anybody log into this system? There are ways to do that, but about 99% of the time, it is for only one user. Okay. Windows Server, on the other hand, like for example, Windows 2016, Windows 2019, those are servers, okay, extremely expensive, and you need a much bigger machines to install those operating systems. Okay, see Windows 2019 server, right? It's called 16 core standard. Okay, so you need much more powerful machine in order to install those operating systems. Okay, why? Server is the name implied that it serves. It serves hundreds of thousands of people at the same time. Like for example, let's say if you work in a company, if you have an email address, okay, from your company, most likely they run your email system on a server called Windows Exchange. Okay, Windows Exchange is for mail systems. Okay. See, as you can see, Windows Exchange Server 2019. That's where your mail goes through. Anytime you send an email or receive an email, most likely it comes through that. Okay. There are other operating systems, other mail servers such as Yahoo, Google. They don't use Exchange because Exchange cannot handle that load. Okay, but that's a different story. So what is a server? Server is the one who serves, and client is the one who consumes, who uses it. Okay. So let's talk about these few points, then we'll take a small break, about 10-15 minutes to do the answer. And then once we come back, we'll install a virtual box because this is where our Linux environment will start. Okay. So as I said, server is the one who serves and client is the one who consumes, right? Think about a hospital. Okay, everybody goes there to get a service, to get treatment. Okay, so the person who goes there is a client, right? And the hospital, that's where you get the treatment, that serves as a server. Okay, Linux operating system architecture, very, very important stuff here. Okay, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, Linux shell, bash shell, Linux versus Windows. You know, there is competition, but the way I see it, Windows is from Microsoft, Linux is from different systems. For load wise, high load, Linux handles much better. Okay, Windows, it does handle, you know, I don't want to bash any operating system, but I feel much more comfortable working on Linux than Windows. Okay, let me put it that way. Linux kernel, what is Linux kernel? Kernel is, as you can imagine, it's a brain. Like for example, if we have somebody whose brain is not functioning properly, then he most likely doesn't know how to talk, doesn't know how to walk, doesn't know how to communicate. Similarly, Linux kernel is the brain of the operating system. Using the brain, it takes the information, it takes the command, and it gives the output. Okay, Linux GUI, Linux does have a GUI, we will see it, but I have never seen anybody use it because client versions of Linux, very few people use it. Linux is used mostly on the back end as a server, not as a client. Okay, Linux command line is almost everything, because without learning the command line, you cannot do anything on Linux because there is nobody uses GUI. In order for you to use the GUI, you have to have a keyboard and mouse connected. Okay, when you have a data center, like for example, let me go to a data center. Okay, if we look at the images, okay, this is how modern data centers looks like. Okay, this is the front of the computer. As you can see, there is no keyboard or mouse connected. Okay, if we look at the back of the computer, such as for example this one, as you can see, somebody is working there, there is no keyboard or mouse connected, so everything goes remote. Okay, we'll see there are ways to log into remote to Windows also. We'll learn that how. Okay, but we'll mostly be working with remote on Linux. As you can see, this is how the computers operate. This is the back of a computer. As you can see, this is not your typical desktop or laptop. Okay, these computers are about 1.5 feet wide, almost 2 feet wide, and about 3 to 4 feet long. Like for example, if we look at a, let's say Dell 620 server. Okay, this is how they look like. This is, we call it 1U, one rack unit, which is about 3.5 inches. Then there is okay, these are 2Us. As you can see, this is much bigger than this one. Okay, this is how most computers looks like in a company environment. This is mostly the client environment, as you can see. Okay, so it's not only Dell, there are a bunch of others such as, let's say, HP server. Okay, these are HP servers. There used to be huge computers, like such as, for example, some 25K. I remember I worked on one of those systems. This is just one computer. it used to cost about $3.5 million. Okay, those are gone, as you can see. Sun Microsystems. Okay, this is one computer, one giant computer, as you can see. Some of them had like 128 physical CPUs. Okay, in order to change something on the computer, for your laptop or for your desktop, in order to change something, you have to shut down the computer. These computers, once it is turned on, usually they never get shut down, because there are thousands and thousands of people communicate with those servers at the same time. So in order to replace a CPU, all you have to do is just take out the CPU board and put another one. You want to change hard drive, take out the hard drive and put another one. The computer used to automatically recognize the new one. Anyway, those days are gone. These servers doesn't exist anymore. But whatever server does exist, they are still hot swappable. That's what we call it. Hot swappable meaning you don't have to shut down the computer in order to replace something. Almost all the computers are nowadays, especially the server ends, are hot swappable. Let's say HP server. Okay. Okay, this is how a computer's server's inside looks like. As you can see, these are the CPUs. These are the CPUs. These are the fans. Usually it requires about 7 to 8 fans, because these computers gets very, very hot very, very quickly. Okay, so inside the data centers, there are huge air conditioned machines. As you can see, this computer has about what, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 hard drives. Okay, so imagine if each hard drive is 1 terabyte. So this computer has a hard drive space of 1 terabyte, and they are usually mirrored. Mirrored meaning, let's say disk 1, for example, let's say if it is disk 0, then whatever information it has, it is copied to the second one. So if this disk dies, the computer is still functioning. Okay, that is called mirroring. We'll learn about mirroring once we go. Mirror is like, if you stand in front of a mirror, you will see exactly yourself the way you look like. Okay, similarly, the server also works in the same way. Okay, whatever it puts in one disk, if we instruct the computer, hey, copy this information to the next drive, the computer does the same thing. So if the first drive or the second drive, one of the drive dies, we just replace the drive and then the computer will still function. Okay. So getting to know the Linux environment, that's what we'll be spending like for the next 2 months. So once we come back, we'll take a break. Right now it is, let's say 6:40. We'll come back at 6:55, 15 minutes. Once we come back, we'll start with VirtualBox. I have it installed. By the time you come back, I'll uninstall all of them and then we'll reinstall and we'll install a version of Linux on it. Okay. So once we've installed a version of Linux, then we'll clone them, like to make at least 2, 3 operating systems. Okay. Imagine those are your 3 servers. Okay. Let's say this one, and this one. Okay. Those virtual machines will exactly behave like a physical one. Okay. So we'll come back at 6:55. I'll pause the recording and I'll see you at 6:55. All right.
So Oracle VirtualBox is a free and open source hosted hypervisor for virtualization. In other words, VirtualBox allows you to install many operating systems virtually on your host operating system. So let's say I want to install Hey friends, welcome to yet another series of exciting learning. This time I will cover VI editor basics. VI editor is just VI editor is a standard I believe all of us have worked on Notepad or text editor or Excel or you have to get for following question mark question. And now you will see that specify and you're going to know what are the worksheet page you want to
Assalamu alaikum. মাথায় বনি মামা আপনার লাগে
জি জি
আমি কালকে ফোন আমার ছিল আপনার লাগে আমি আপনার বাগনা সাতক বাড়ি আমার
জি জি হোকা
মামা আপনার যে এই ক্লাসের পরে আর কি ম্যাটেরিয়ালস আর রেকর্ডিং সব তো আমরা পাইম রাইট
Jay, starting tomorrow, inshallah, we'll post all the videos. This is being recorded.
Okay,
So,
and how about the word files and whatever you have?
I'm sorry?
The word file যেটা আপনার কাছে আছে word file যে আপনার শহরে আছে
Yeah, whatever I need to share, I'll share all of them. This Word file, if you didn't get it yet, inshallah, I'll send it to you after the class.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, whatever we
Okay.
need to share, definitely we'll share. We want this class to be succeeded, so we have nothing to hide. Inshallah, we'll share everything.
And how about after the graduation, marketing, like you going to help us for the job
Yes,
postings, sir?
and if you know your stuff, you don't need our help. Inshallah, you can find lot of jobs. Like for example, if I go to, let's say Zip Recruiter, for example. Oops. Okay. So in Queens, there are Queens, meaning it's showing around Queens and New York. As you can see, there are 7,000 740 jobs. If I go all the way to the United States, okay, as you can see, there are 136,000 of them.
So you're
Okay.
sharing the screen, right? You're sharing screen. I cannot see. Maybe there's issue from my end.
Oh, okay. So,
So I'm going out. I'm going out and going in again because it's showing like something. It's not showing your screen.
Hold on. Okay, can you see it now? It says paused. Why? Okay, how about now? Can you see it or no? It says share paused. Why is paused?
It's circulating like something look like searching, but it's not showing up. I can see your face, but yeah, now good. Yeah.
Okay, how about now? Can you see it?
Now I can see your share. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see
Yeah. So as you can see, there are thousands and thousands of jobs. If you know your stuff, okay, if you know your stuff, you will be marketable. That I can guarantee you that. Okay, as you can see, there are about 200, almost 200,000 jobs for AWS, which is so we are teaching you both. Okay, stay with the class, work as hard as you can. I remember when I took my Unix class at the beginning, the teacher told me that you cannot give up your family, you cannot give up your job, but give up everything else and put all the time into this, you will be rewarded one day. And he was absolutely right. Okay, for the next 6 months, try as hard as you can. On the orientation, as I said, like when a baby becomes a toddler, the parents or relatives or guardian, whatever that is, they taught them how to walk, how to take the baby step. Once they take the baby step, they learn how to walk, then it is the baby's job to learn how to run. Okay, my job is to let you walk on the path of Linux and AWS, and your job is to run in there. Okay, so there are a lot of things to be learned. Next 6 months, can everything be covered? Absolutely not. Okay, but we'll give you the guidance. Okay, such as, for example, let's say when a person becomes an engineer, right? Once they get out from the college, they don't learn everything. That's why they need to do, let's say if it is a medical doctor, they need to do residency. Once they do the residency, then they will take the test. If they pass, then they go and start practicing. On the job, they learn even more. Okay, similar, same thing here. Okay, so this is not a very nice picture, but this is how the Linux architecture is. So let's say on the very inside is the, I'm using this program for the first time, so that's why I'm not very familiar with the writing. But anyway,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was a
Uh-huh.
bit late. So did you show already how to install the VirtualBox?
No, not yet.
Okay.
This is one of the points we are supposed to cover before the VirtualBox, which is what is it? Linux operating system architecture. Okay, VirtualBox will do. Where is VirtualBox? I thought it was on the list. No. Okay, so let me finish this one. This one will make it a little more clear on how Linux works. Okay, so this is shell. The next one is this is shell, sorry. This is shell. This is driver. and outside shell is the, as I said, this is the first time I am using it. Outside is the user. So this is how operating system, Linux, Windows, everything works. At the very inside is the Linux. Okay, this is the brain. This is a user. While we are sitting outside, we use the OS to instruct the computer what to do. Okay, so this is the operating system. Inside the operating system, there is something called shell. Okay, once we give the instruction, the operating system give it to the shell. Shell give it to something called a driver. Okay, every device in a computer needs a driver. Okay, driver meaning it knows how to talk to the kernel. Again, computer is a device that doesn't have eyes or ears like us, right? So it needs to talk to each other electronically. Okay, so what is the electronic communication between them? Everybody has to know everybody's language. Driver need to know how to talk to the kernel. Kernel need to know how to talk to the driver. Okay, driver is a piece of software, okay, that tells kernel, the brain, how to function. Okay, this is like in a very high level definition. If you go through Google images and if you type, like for example, Linux OS environment, you will see there are nice pictures. Okay, there is question, somebody asked that if I have already Linux, do I need VirtualBox? No, you don't. Okay, as long as, but for our class, at least we need 3 Linux machines. Okay, so physically, no, but virtually, yes. As you can see, I have 5, 6 computers here. Okay, once you have a Linux machine, it's very easy to clone them. As you can, I don't know whether you can see it. If you right click on it, okay, let me install the virtual machine. So I have already installed virtual machines in here, and I did put 3 links in here. I'll send it to you after the class. Those of you who are not familiar with how to install virtual machines, follow these links. As I say, in the class, covering everything is not possible. My job is to show you the path. Your job is to run in that path. Okay, if you do, this is how you become successful. Okay, the more practice, more time you put, the faster you will learn. So anyway, okay. So in order for downloading the VirtualBox is a piece of software that's owned by Oracle Systems. Okay, oh, come on. Okay, VIRT VirtualBox download. Okay, whatever operating system you have, you download it for that version. Okay, so download Windows VirtualBox. Okay, as you can see, the Windows hosts version is one version, doesn't really matter, but let's say if you click on it, as you can see, it starts downloading. Okay, it will take okay, I have 1 gigabit speed, so it is a little faster. If you don't have that much speed, most likely it will take some little longer, but that's fine as long as it is downloaded. Okay, I hope you are familiar with, let's say if you download something, I hope you are familiar where to find it. For example, let's say if you have Windows 10, then you can go to, like for example, this PC. This is the run box, right? That's where you can type any command on the computer. Like for example, if I want to bring out DOS prompt, I can type command. Okay, command prompt. Okay, let's say from command prompt, there are a lot of stuff I can do. Like for example, That's why I want to see whether I am connected to the internet. So I
Sorry.
can do a type.
Is a VirtualBox 6.1 we downloading?
I'm sorry?
What's I found one called VirtualBox 6.1. Is it the one downloading?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just downloaded the latest one.
So that's the latest
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
once I start installing it, let's say it will say install. And let's see, next. Okay, if you just follow the defaults, that should be fine. It says for a few seconds, the network interfaces will be out, which is fine. I might get disconnected. Okay, so now it is trying to install. Most likely it might fail because it might see there is a virtual box running. Let me close it. Okay, let's see, still thinking. Okay, let it go through. The next one we'll do is okay, CentOS is almost similar to Red Hat, but Red Hat used to be a separate company. Now it is owned by IBM. So they discontinued the free version. Okay, but still Red Hat 7 is available. Okay, I mean CentOS 7 is still available. Okay, as you can see, like for example, I went to Google and I type CentOS 7 download, right? We pick a mirror site, okay. First three, any of them will be fine. So let's say I say download the ISO, okay. Doesn't really matter. Usually it suggests the one closest to us. Like for example, this is in New York City. So if I click on this, then I'll see a ISO. Okay, ISO stands for what? It's basically a type of file. So I download, let's say there are DVD1, DVD2, or everything. Okay. So let's say if I click on everything, it will start downloading. It says it will take about 15 minutes. So those of you who are from Bangladesh, let's say if you want to download from here, it will probably take about few hours. Okay. By the way, we have at least 4 or 5 of the students are joining from Bangladesh. If all of them are not today, they will be here on Monday. Okay, so let's see our installation, how far it went. See, it says that I already have a version already installed. Okay, that's why it wants to exist, which is fine. The link I sent you, it will tell you how to, it will show you step by step how to install VirtualBox. Okay, the next one will tell you how to install Linux on VirtualBox. Okay, which is after the downloading of the operating system. Okay, so I don't want to go through, because let's say if I want to go through the installing Linux, that will take probably about 45 minutes or so. Okay, go through these YouTube videos before Monday. If you have any issues, send an email. Okay, individual call, sometimes it's, for me, it's very hard to take, because as you know, I have a full-time job, I have a full-time family, and you know, so send the email. I check the email all the time, and I'll reply if you have any issues. Any questions so far? If you still have any issues, maybe I'll make 1 or 2 videos for both of them, and I'll post it on our website.
Yeah, because I'm not getting the same feature that you're getting actually on the screen?
Oh, this one you were talking about?
The virtual box and CentOS for Windows. I
Okay.
can't see exactly what are you
So
doing.
I'll send you the CentOS link I'm using.
প্লিজ এটা ওইটা
Okay.
লিংক দিলে সব থেকে ভালো হয় ঠিক না এক্স্যাক্টলি ইমেইলে দিছে যে ওই
I'll send it after the class. I'll have to combine all of your email addresses because I have email addresses here and there. So I'll put everything in a group and then I'll send it to the group. So everybody will.
They're going to send the link for the virtual box and also the CentOS and other stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm in the virtual box. So when I saw the virtual box 3.1.64 platform package, is that shows Windows host, then OS host, Linux distribution.
Yeah.
And
So you have to select the Windows host.
Oh, okay.
So VirtualBox download. Okay, so this one. And if I click on this, let's see if I can copy link address. Yeah, so this link, once you paste it on your browser, it will
I
start.
mean, that's
downloading
Oracle
it.
though. So are you downloading Oracle or just for the Linux?
No, VirtualBox is from Oracle. Oracle owns this VirtualBox software.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Alright.
So now let's take a look at the Linux a little bit today. Not too much. Okay. So I have a Linux version running. Doesn't matter what flavor of Linux. You can have CentOS. At this time, it doesn't matter really, because once we move very, very forward, then it will become specific, such as there are few things to do on CentOS in one way, Ubuntu in another way, and let's say Debian in another way. But ultimately, all of them are same. It's just different interface. Okay. So anyway, let me log into this computer. Okay. This is. I like to use Kelly because I play with. I'm a cybersecurity engineer also, so this is my favorite version of Linux. Okay. In our environment, in my work environment, they don't use CentOS. I mean Kelly. They use CentOS on all of them. Okay. So we have about 600-700 servers. All of them use CentOS 7. Okay. So we'll actually spend a lot of time on CentOS 7 because this is the lion's share of Linux in the market is CentOS. No, basically Red Hat. And Red Hat and CentOS is the same thing, as I said before. CentOS is the free version and Red Hat is the paid version.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So most likely I download the virtual box and the CTNOS 7, so ISO. So the things that do I have to import it as a file or just leave it for now and just follow your footsteps?
I'm sorry, could you please say your question again? The volume was very low on my end and I couldn't hear.
Yeah, no problem. So I was trying to say that I just download the two download software. Well, the first one you told me to download the Oracle VM virtual box, which I did install and it's up and running. And the second one, I just installed the ISO, the one you told me CentOS 07, which I did. So the thing said, do I have to wait? Do I wait for the next step or would you guide
Okay.
it through?
So, all right, let's see. I do have some samples here. No. See, this CentOS is going to take downloading a long time. And let's see. Okay, I have a version of Linux here. So let's say this is on my, okay. So let's say I install VirtualBox. VirtualBox, anybody can install it because it's not a big deal at all. You know, once you download it, just double click next, 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 and that's it. You know, it will be installed. So once you download VirtualBox, install the VirtualBox, how do you install a OS? Okay, let's do this one. It will not take it because I already have a version of Linux here. So let's say I go to VirtualBox, open it, and click on new. Okay, so give it whatever name you want. Let's say I call it Linux 1. Okay, then it might say type Windows or Linux. If it says Linux, leave it alone. If it says Windows, change it to Linux. Okay, so as you can see, these are changeable. All right, where you want to install, what kind of operating system you can install: Windows, Linux, Solaris, the bunch of other operating systems are kind of dead. So let's say Linux version, leave it alone. Okay, because you still don't know what version of Linux you are installing, so take the default. Okay, next, how much RAM you want to give? So let's say, depending on how much RAM you have on your computer, the laptop I'm using, I have 32 gig. You might not have that much. So 1 gigabyte is good enough. See, it says 1024. That's 1 gigabyte. Okay. So where is this 24 comes from? Let me go in there. And, okay. All right. So we know in computer there is something called binary number, right? What kind of we have binary number, then 0 through 9 is called come on, what is that name? You know, what is the opposite of digital? Analog, right? So 0 through 9 are analog numbers. 0 and 1 is called digital number or binary number. As we move along, there we'll see there are a few more numbers. One is called hexadecimal, and one is called base 64. Okay, so let's talk about analog number. All of us are familiar with, such as, for example, let's say if we have to say 1009, this is how we write 1009. How do you write this as binary? Okay, so let's say the way binary number is written, let's bring it down first. I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this is equal to 255. How? Actually, if you add all of them, it will become 256 plus 0 equal to 256. Let's see how. Okay, how does it become 0? Three, four, five. Binary number always goes in bytes. So what is a byte? A byte is 8 characters. Okay, either 8 zeros or 8 ones. What is a bit? The lowest number in the computer, which is either 1 or 0. This is what called also digital numbers. Okay, it cannot be, like, for example, if you have to graph an analog number, and if your 0 starts from here, right? And if you have to go through 9, then it will go something like, let's say it will be something like this, right? Because the graph will move always upward, right? Okay. If you have to do a digital graph, if your 0 is here, then your 1 is there. Okay. So 0 will be always here, 1 will be always there. Nothing in between. In analog, the number will go up and down. Okay. In binary numbers, it doesn't. Okay. So let's see how it becomes 255. When you write or when you deal with the binary number, okay, the first number, you start counting from the right side. The first number, if it does have a 1, then the value is 1. The second one, if there is a 1, then the value is 2. The third one, if there is a 1, then the value is 4. And similarly, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. So if you add all of them, it will become 255. This is how the binary number goes. Okay, that's why computer is so much powerful. As you can see, it can write very small number, but its power can be very, 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 very high. Okay, if you put, okay, let me finish 0 first. So 0's value is, since this is off, actually it's not 1 or 0, it's either on or off. Electronics can be either turned on or turned off. So turned on meaning it is 1, and turned off meaning it is 0. Okay, it cannot be in between. There are some lights, light switches, you can go up and down, okay, but that's a different theory. Okay, that's a different electronic formula. Okay, we don't want to get into that. Okay, we want to stay in what computer understands and how does it understands. Computer understands a bit of data is either on, something is written there, or something is not written there. If it is not written there, it is 0. If it is written there, then it is 1. Okay, so as you can see, all of them are 0, right? So the value is 0. When you add 255 to it, then it becomes 256. Meaning, in a byte, you can have up to 256 values. Okay. Once you move little forward, we'll see something called ASCII. Okay, ASCII. What is ASCII? ASCII is how the computer understands between A to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and all those values. Let's see. Okay, so let's see if this one is clear. Okay. No, it's not. Okay, so let's say it says, as you can see, 74 is J, right? So what is A? A is 65. So let's see how the computer understands capital A, not the small a. Okay, so for it to understand capital, okay, so capital A is 65. How does the computer understand capital A? So if it is written, the data is written like this. 1. Okay, so let's say 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 0. This is 65. So if this is how it is written on computer's RAM or hard drive, the computer understands, oh, I know, it is capital A. Okay, as you can see on the ASCII table. Okay, so how does it understand? Let's say, let's find another value, like for example, let's say 90. Okay, how do we get the value of 90 on binary? So the value of binary in, 90 will be in, let's say, if we come from the left, then 128 has to be 0, otherwise it will be more than 90. The next one is 64. Okay, the next one is 32. If we add 64 to 32, what it will be? 96, right? So this bit has to be 0. Next one is 16. So 64 and 16 is 80, right? Next one is 8, which is 88. Next one is 2, which is 90. Why we have 7? We have to have 8. Okay, let's do it again. 128, this is 0, right? This is on, 64. 32 is off, right? 16 is on. So 64 and 60 is, 16 is 80. Oh, there is a 0 in between because we left off 8. So this is on. The next one is 4. 4 cannot be on. If it is on, then it will be more than 90. The next one is 2. Okay, so this is how we get 90. So if the computer sees the value of where is 90? If the computer sees the value of 90, that means it says, oh, I know it is a capital Z. This is how it knows all those letters and numbers. So as you can see, it knows parentheses by looking at 41. Okay, the left parenthesis it sees as the value of 40. The right parenthesis is 41. Again, computer is a very dumb device. Okay, why? Because it doesn't have eyes, ears, like the we do. It doesn't talk the way we talk. So it uses machine language in order to understand, in order to do something. Okay, as you can see, it's like, I don't know whether you have seen, like those people who doesn't talk, they use their fingers in order to communicate with each other. Okay, computer uses these numbers, letters, not letters, these bits and bytes in order to understand or in order to communicate with something. As you can see that when it sees 42, it knows, oh, somebody typed a star. Okay, so this is called ASCII. Back in, let's say, around 1990s, if anybody has seen any computer, everything was ASCII. There were no GUI whatsoever. Okay, so people used to type with mostly with one finger. The airlines, they used to use their booking systems using those ASCII characters. Anyway, those days are gone. All right, so let's go back to VirtualBox again. So we were trying to install something, right? So depending on how much RAM you have, don't select more than what you have, okay? So 1 gig is fine. It's a next. Create virtual disk. Take the default until you become an expert, okay? Let's say create. Okay, virtual disk image VDI, which is fine. Dynamically allocated, which is fine too. Okay. Then where you want to put your virtual machine? Again, take the default. Okay. When it comes to hard drive space, give it a little more space, otherwise the computer cannot function. Okay, so let's say I'll say about 20 GB. Okay, so I'll say 20 gig. Okay, let's create. Okay, as you can see, it created it, right? But we didn't install the OS yet. It created the environment. It created a, what you can say, a physical computer, basically. Okay, now we have to install the OS on it, right? So either right click on it, or you can go on the top and click on start. Either way is the same thing. Okay, I prefer right click if you are on Windows and say start. Start should be normal start. There are two other starts, but let's not use those now. Okay, normal start. Let's see if we have completed installing CentOS. Okay. Yes, we did. So let's install CentOS because that's the one we want to deal with now. So I cancel the one before. Okay. Start. Oh. Power off. Why the start is muted? As you can see, I cannot start it. Okay. Let me close VirtualBox. These are free software, so there will be bugs, you know. So, and there is no support. Okay. See, I closed it. I closed it and started, and now the start is there. Okay, let's do a normal start. There is error. Something went wrong on this one. It says it cannot start. Let's see. Failed to open the session virtual machine Linux 1. Okay, if it gives any errors, there is nothing to troubleshoot. All you have to do is just remove this one. Okay, click on remove and delete all files and recreate another one. So new. In the production environment, will you going to deal with VirtualBox? No. Okay. In the production environment, most likely you will be dealing with either physical servers, AWS, or something called VMware. Toward the end, we'll take a look at the VMware. Okay. So why do we use VirtualBox now? Because we want to stay with the free tier as much as possible. Let's learn Linux, then you will see, you will understand what is the difference between a VirtualBox, physical machine, VMware, AWS. Everything will be crystal clear. Okay, so let's do Linux 1. Come on. Okay, so Linux 1, and then, as I say, take the Okay. Let's do Linux 2. The reason it is not taking it because it sees the name somewhere saved. I can go and, like for example, if I can go here, say Linux 1 is somewhere, all I have to do is just delete this directory. Try again. It says it is open, meaning VirtualBox is using it. Okay. All right, so let's make it Linux 2. Let's do next. 1 GB is fine. Create VirtualBox. Next. Dynamically allocated. Let's give it about 20 gig. And let's do create. Okay, now we have Linux 2. Let's do a start. Normal start. Let's see what happened this time. Okay, now you have to find out where your operating system is. So I downloaded the CentOS. Okay, see, I have CentOS 7. That's where I have the downloaded file. See, now it is added to the list. So you have to be careful with this. Okay, if you have problem, just walk around and you will see. Okay, again, you have to say where your operating system, the ISO file is located from this window, right? So you click on the folder, right? Add, and then wherever it is downloaded. About, I would say 99% of the time it will be downloaded under downloads directory on your PC, right? So once you click on it, click open, and it is there. Now we select this one. Okay, see, it is highlighted, and then choose and start. Now it will start from that ISO. Okay, and use the arrow key. Usually this is the default. Test this media. Okay, you don't need to test it. Just use the up arrow, go to the install CentOS 7. Okay, it has to open that ISO file, and it will go through its normal procedure. Okay, the video I'm sending you, the YouTube video, it will show the same thing, what I am doing now. Okay, so English, United States, which is fine. Continue. Okay, date and time. See, it shows America's New York. If you are installing from Bangladesh, most likely it will not show you that. Okay, just take the default, which is fine. Installation source is local media, which is fine. Software selection, don't use minimum. So software selection, at this time, let's use server with GUI. Okay, what is the difference between minimal install and server with GUI? Once we become expert on Linux, we will know. Okay, but do use server with GUI because we need that for now. Okay, it might become little orangish. Basically, it is checking whether the information is right. It will go away. Okay, see, it is clear now. Installation destination, that's an important one. Okay, see, automatic partitioning is selected. Once I click on it, this is the drive. Remember we created a 20 gig drive. Okay, this is right here, right? So I always select that I'll configure partitioning. See, default is automatically configure partitioning. I always select I will configure partitioning. Even though later on I might accept the default, but still, you know. Okay. Once you click on I will configure partitioning, then click done. Okay. Once you click done, as you can see, our 20 gig partition is there. Click on this, click here to create them automatically, which is fine. It is creating 3 file systems. What is the file system? Once we go to Linux, then we'll see. Okay, let's keep it as it is now. Okay, boot / and swap. Okay, let's keep the default. Done. Accept changes. Okay, the next few other things it is asking. Kdump. Okay, let's leave it alone for now. Security policy, leave it alone for now. Let's click on this one, network and hostname. Okay, give it a hostname. Let's say we named it Linux 2. Okay, sometimes it does require a domain name. So if you have to use a domain name, just use example.com. Example.com is available for everyone. Okay, apply. Okay, over here, there is a configure button. If you are not familiar with it, leave it alone. We'll have to talk about every single point. Okay, Ethernet, DCP, proxy, IPv4 settings, especially this one. Okay, we'll not talk about this now. We'll talk about once we learn about IP addressing. Okay, so just take the default, but do turn on the interface. See, it says off. If we click on this, see, it will become on. If it is on, it will get an IP address. Okay, as you can see, it got 10.0.2.15. IP address is something, without that you cannot communicate with outside world. Okay, it's like, let's say you have to have a house address, otherwise you will not get any mail, no matter which country you live in. Okay, so let's click on done. And we do begin installation. Once you begin installation, it will ask you to set up 2 different passwords, one for a normal user and one for the root password. Okay, root is the administrator of the system. So let's say I'll type a password. You will not see the password, you will just see the stars. Okay, but do remember the password though, otherwise you will not be able to log into the system. Done. And user creation. So let's say I'll create my user account. Usually in the company environment, they use the first letter of the first name. So let's say my first letter of the first name is M, Mohi, right? And the last name is Ahmed. So my username is usually M Ahmed. Make this user an administrator. Let's select it for now. We'll talk about this. What does that mean? Okay, and give it a password. Okay, done. And as you can see, it is already installing on the background. Okay, and it will take, I would say, at least 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how fast your computer is. Okay, but whatever that is, okay, do install it. And meantime, let me log into another system. Okay, and let's see what Linux is all about. Why? Well, most likely my computer needs a reboot. So if I reboot the computer, then the installation is going to fail. Let's see, let's start. Okay, that one is installing still. Okay, here is one starting, or at least trying to start. Yeah. No, I forgot the password. Let's see. Okay. So here I logged into a system, a Linux system. Okay. As you can see, it does have GUI. Okay. The Linux version we're installing, it will have GUI also once we complete the installation. Okay. But in a real world, you will never ever use the GUI in order to work on a Linux system, right? So here is my, okay, here is my Linux system. Okay, so how do I communicate from outside? As I said, we will not use the GUI. Okay, the way we communicate with it, first of all, we need to know what is the IP address. Remember, we talked about the IP address a few minutes ago, right? Every computer, if you go to Google, say for example, and you type what is my IP, okay, see, this is my public IP address, 100.12.206.94. all of you, if you go to the internet, if you go to Google, even if you go to your, say for example, your smartphone, if you are connected to your Wi-Fi, you will see the same, I mean, not my IP address, you will see a different public IP address. Without the IP address, you cannot go to the internet. That's why you have to have a ISP in your home environment in order for you to go to the internet. All your ISP does is it gives you a valid IP address, and using that valid IP address, this is how you go to the internet. Be either you are in Bangladesh or you are in America. Okay, all of you have to have an IP address. Now, let's say in my home, I have at least 20 devices connected to the internet. Okay, my sons, they have their computers, they have their smartphones, right? My security system is connected to the internet. My solar system is connected to the internet. There are many, many other things connected to the internet. Nowadays, you can connect almost everything to the internet, such as, let's say, you want to turn on your lights from while you are outside. So you connect your electrical system also to the internet. Okay, so I'll get only one IP address, right? So how do I share it? That's where our home routers come in, right? All of us, when we are at home, we connect to our Wi-Fi using a wireless device. If it is a physical device, a lot of time we do connect it through a Ethernet cable. Once you connect through the Ethernet cable, then you get a different IP address, such as, let's say this is my Windows computer. In Windows, we type ifconfig. Go to the command prompt and type ifconfig. Okay. Oh, sorry. In Windows, we type ipconfig. Okay. See, I have an IP address of 192.168.1.30. Okay. These IP addresses are called netted IP address. NAT. Okay. Network Address Translation. In Linux or AWS, you have to be prepared for learning a lot of abbreviation, thousands of them. Okay. Do you have to memorize it? No. Do you have to understand it? Yes. Okay. So using a NAT address, it connects through my router. And when my router goes to the, if I have to go to the internet, this IP address goes to the router and it says, hey, I want to go to the internet. Like for example, let's say if I say ping www.yahoo.com. Okay. As you can see, I'm asking Yahoo server, are you alive? Okay. This IP address doesn't go to the internet. Okay. My public IP address does. This one does. Okay. So let's go back to the Linux instance again. So in order to communicate with it, I need to know its IP address. On Windows, as I said, it is the word ipconfig, right? In Linux or Unix, the letter is ifconfig. Another good thing in working in Linux is you just type one or two letters, hit a tab. See if there is multiple words, it will show you all the words, which one you want to go to. And then it will give you the first option. Again, all you have to do is, let's say IFC, I type, and then I hit the tab. It completes around the word automatically. Then there is something called option. Okay, we'll learn about options. Okay. See, it says its IP address is 192.168.1.6. Okay. Now let's say this is a server. There are 500 of them sitting there. Okay. So how do I log in? On Windows, or next day or after this class, we'll download something called a program called Putty. Some people call it Putty, Putty, whatever you call it, doesn't really matter. Okay. We'll be using this program a lot. Okay. And this is a free program. See, download Putty. Right. Copy this. Oh, it says HTML. No, we don't want HTML. But anyway, if you type this is for, okay. So once we download Putty, you will get something like this, right? Then let's say I want to go to this computer. All I have to do is just type the IP address. So let's say this is 192.168.1.6. There are a lot of other options to configure, but let's not work on the others yet. At least not yet. We'll do it later. All right. As you can see, this IP address, if you type it again on this window, then you can save it. Okay. So let's say save. All right. And now if I open it, okay, I type, let's say MOHI. Okay. See, I'm on that computer. See, I don't have to be physically go into that computer. So let's see whether it is true or not. See, I logged in as I have a username called Mohi, right? How do I know I am on this computer? If I do who, see, it says right there that this user logged in from this computer. Okay. So if I say over here ID, okay, it shows I have a user ID, I have a group ID, and the other groups I belongs to. Okay, we'll learn all of these things. You know, it's not complicated. It's just I can type who am I. Okay, it will tell me what is my username. Okay, I can see how long this machine is uptime. Okay, I want to see, let's say, what is this machine name? So I type uname. Okay, it says uname, basically it says the operating system. If I want to see everything, I type uname-a. So it gives me a lot more information. Okay, now let's say this is a regular user. Okay, I'm a regular user. If I want to shut down this computer, let's say I type shutdown-h now. Okay, what is H, what is now, we'll learn later. Okay, it says no, you cannot do that. Okay, you have to be an administrator, or basically it says you have to be root. Root has the highest power on a Linux system. Okay, so let's say I want to become root, so I type su dash. What is su? Su is super user. What is super user? Root is the super user. So as you can see, this seems to be a little complicated, but everything makes sense, right? It's not that something, oh my God, out of like, you know, like some type of sci-fi or, you know, science fiction or anything. No, everything makes sense. Whatever we'll be typing, whatever we'll be doing, everything makes sense. Okay, and once you get used to it, it's not difficult at all. I remember in one of my Linux class, I had a student and he attended 2 days, and from the third day he doesn't come anymore. So later on I saw him somewhere and I asked him what happened, why you don't come to the class anymore. So he said, you know what, I don't like to work in the dark. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, well, you get a black screen and then nothing else is there. So I don't want to deal with that. Okay, completely understandable. He is a Windows person, he is a Windows expert, but he doesn't like Linux. Okay, so we'll see some Windows flavors also as we move along. Okay, once we go, see now, if we want to install a Windows machine, our laptop, Windows virtual machine, our laptop will not be handled because Windows is power hungry. Windows takes a lot of hard drive space, and most importantly, Windows takes a lot of RAM. Like for example, if you have 8 GB, if you want to install another virtual Windows machine, probably you will need another 8 GB of RAM. Okay, once we go to AWS, then we'll not have to worry about that. But for whatever amount of time we use it, we have to pay a small fee. So once we go to AWS, you will need a credit card, and you can expect about $10 to $15 monthly bill. You'll not be paying to us, you'll be paying it to Amazon. Okay, everybody will have their own AWS accounts. Okay, let's see how far the installation went. Okay, see, looks like the installation is finished. So once it is finished, once you see reboot, and active, then click the reboot. Okay, here is our new machine getting installed. Again, depending on your machine speed and RAM, you might have different time of, installation time. Okay, the computer I'm using, it's i9, I believe, and it has 32 gig RAM, so it is a little faster. Even though it has about 6-7 virtual machines, it can handle it. Your laptop should be able to handle at least 3. Okay, see, it says license is not accepted. So we click on that and we accept the license. And done. Network and host name, it says connected. So finish configuration. Okay. So it will show the regular username. Remember, we created one user account and we set up the root password. If you want to log in as a root, click on not listed, but let's not do that. Let's log in as regular user. Okay, so here is the GUI, and it does have limited type of menu. Okay, you will see this menu, just click next, 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 skip, and start using Linux. Then another window will come in and just close it. Anyway, here is a limited amount of programs, but nobody, as I said, nobody uses it. Okay. So let's see what is the IP address. How do you go to the terminal? See, the other Linux, it showed a terminal icon over here. This one doesn't. Okay. Let's see if application has it. Accessories, documentation, internet. Okay. Yeah, under system tools, there is a terminal. Or right click on it and open terminal. So once you log in as a regular user, okay, you will see a $sign, right, next to your name. Once you become a root, okay, next to your name, you will see a $sign. When you see $sign, that means you are super user. Regular user has a $sign. Okay, now I can do the same thing, ID. See, it says root, right? If I do, who am I? Root. You can also type, who am I? Okay, it gives little more information, but it says, see, it says the original username, right? This is how I log in. Okay, now let's see another thing. I have config -a. Okay. See, it has a IP address of 10.0.2.15. Okay. So what happened here is, let me go back here. Pardon my handwriting. My handwriting was always bad anyway, so nothing new. So okay. So my public IP was, let me put it over here, 100 dot, I think 16 or something. It doesn't really matter. I think 206 dot, let's say 9. This is my public IP address, right? Then I got on this computer, I got a config. Okay, 192.168.1.30, right? This is called a private IP address, right? So 192.168.1.30, right? Let's say I have a bunch of other devices in my home. So the other one could be 31, 32, 34, 35. So let's say another one could be 31, 32, 33, 36, 39. How do they get this IP address? We'll talk about this later. It's called a server, it's called a DHCP server. Okay, what is DHCP? Okay. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, DHCP. It's not invented by Microsoft. It's invented by a company called ARPANET. I think it's called ARPANET. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, you know, who invented it, as long as we can use it. So, going back to the drawing board. So, these computers go through a process, these IP addresses go through a process called NAT, Network Address Translation, okay? My virtual box is installed on this computer, right? And one of the virtual hosts got the IP address of 10.0.2.15, okay? It's connected to this one. This one's IP address is 192.168.1.30. So these computer thinks, my router is actually not that guy because it cannot reach this one. So it thinks my router is this guy. So that's why this IP address goes through a NAT, okay, through this IP address, then it goes to the second NAT to go to the internet, okay? So let's say if we go to our virtual machine, right click on it, click on the settings, okay? Once you click on the settings, you see there is a tab called network. As you can see, it says that attached to a NAT. So instead of NAT, let's make it a bridged adapter. The next one is a bridged adapter, okay? Once you click on OK, now if we come back to our host, delete this one, see it has the IP address of 10.0.2.15. Now if we type ifconfig-a, it should have a different IP address. See, now it got 192.168.1.22. So basically what happened is we told this computer that instead of netting, jump over to this guy. Okay, so this will say, I cannot give you my IP address. So you go to the DHCP server and get one from there. So DHCP server, it will look at available pool and then it will give an IP address to this machine. This is how it got 192.168.1.22. Now, let's say I want to work on that machine. Again, I'm remote. Okay, so how do you log in? Go to the party. If you have a party session open, go to the party. If you don't have a party session open, like for example, let's say if I click on, after installing it, see I have a party here, right? I know the IP address is 22. Okay. If I want to save it, I click on the save window and click on save and open it. Let's see. See, it is asking, are you sure you want to log into this system? I said yes. Okay. We created the user account as Ahmed. Right. Okay. See, we logged into this system. See, it says Linux 2. If we go to this machine now, it does say Linux 2. If I type who, it says I have 2 sessions open. Actually, it's not 2. One is I came from another machine. And the second one is that I logged into the console. Remember, I logged into this machine as M. Ahmed first. Okay. So we'll talk about these. These are called pseudo terminals. These are called console. Okay. A lot of people ask me that how old can I be to learn IT? So I don't want to discourage anybody. I told them that you have to consume tons and tons and tons of information. So if your brain can handle it, I'm fine with that. Okay, I don't care really how old are you. Okay, so there are a lot of things to be learned. Again, I'm not scaring anybody. These are, if you spend time with it, you will see it's a very, very fun thing to do, fun thing to learn. Okay, now we logged into the system. Now what can we do? First of all, once you install a Windows machine, if you ever install a Windows operating system, okay, first thing you do is get an update from Microsoft. Okay, we go through, like for example, let's say if I go, okay, it will take me to the Microsoft website, Microsoft Windows Update. On Linux, first thing after we install a operating system, we also go through the operating system update. Where is this update come from? It is from, by the time you downloaded this package, and by the time this is installed, there could be some packages already some other people updated. So we do yum-y update. What is yum? We'll learn later. Yum stands for, somebody gave it a funny name, Yellow Dog Update Manager. I don't know why it is Yellow Dog, but you know, that's how it is. So see, this is how many updates it is waiting for. Okay. And it will go through a lot. Okay, a lot of procedure. It will basically install a lot of packages. Okay. Again, this is not hard thing to do. These are procedural thing to do. Okay, like for example, if a user tell you that I cannot log into this system, okay, what do? There are certain procedures you follow. Like first of all, you have to check whether this guy is really belong here, whether he has access, whether he has a user account, whether his password is valid, okay, whether that guy can reach to this computer. Okay, like for example, let's say on my party, let's say I go click on this icon. Click on this icon, then I'll see new session. Let's say I want to log into a computer. I type IP address 192.168.1.99. Okay, I click open. Okay, it will not go anywhere. Why? Because there is no computer that has IP address of 99 which is alive. Okay. Now, time now it is 8:15. So let's take a break for about half an hour. We'll come back at 8:45. Okay, because this will go through the update for next 15-20 minutes. And by the time we'll finish also our Maghrib prayer. Okay, so we'll meet again at 8:45. Right? Okay, I am back. Hopefully, all of you are back also.
I have a question.
Yes.
So question is, every class we will be going through Monday and Wednesday at 6 to 11 p.m. Would you send the video webinar for each class recording through email so everyone will be updated if they miss it?
So after the class, whatever we covered, if there is any link to be shared, I'll send it. The Zoom link will stay the same until we change it again.
So, okay, so I'm saying like, let's say all the step by step you did, for example, and like, let's say the Zoom recording right now, we're doing a recording. So let's say, I mean, the other links you can send it to us, will it be the same through the Zoom links and the Zoom video, or will it be something a little bit different? You know what I'm trying to say, or will it be up to
No,
date?
there will be different. First of all, tomorrow I'll send the email, but from the next class, it will be your duty to go to our masjid website and search for that date and whatever update is there.
Got it. And then, so most
So all
likely,
the links, all the PDFs, Word documents, whatever it is there, everything will upload it to our website
I
by
see.
date, by date.
I see. So nothing, so everything you'll be doing like now, everything will be there, will be the same, so it could be up to date, right?
Yes, and not only that, let's say whatever we will cover, okay, on the next class, let's say on Monday, whatever we'll cover, we'll post inshallah everything by Friday. So you'll have at least good idea, what to expect on the next class. The reason we are trying to do as much as we can because we want this class to be succeeded. We want some people to go on the market, as you know that we are not charging anything. So it's not like that we are trying to, make ourselves marketable. Okay. But we want some people to succeed.
Right, okay. And the last question is that, so after we finish learning the Linux, so the next step is we'll be learning the other program, the
AWS.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
And AWS, it's called Amazon Web Services. You know, to tell you about AWS, it will be a little premature. First of all, we don't know what a firewall is. We don't know what a router is. We don't know how a Linux system works. We don't know a lot of stuff, So combination of whatever we learn in Linux, we'll see everything in practical, how a production environment works once we go to AWS.
Right, I see. And the class you'll be teaching us for, let's say, is it 2 months or 6 months?
So my goal is that the Linux class will be 2 months, AWS will be 2 months, and then we'll use 1 month for certification preparation and 1 month for resume, job search, if anybody fallen behind, So my target is that by 6 months, you should be able to go on the job market and search for job.
And so the last question is, before I let you teach, the last question is that you'll be focusing on the main stuff. Like you're not like mostly like, I'm not trying to say like once you get the, like let's say once I get a job, so mostly when I get the job, the thing is that they will not I'll be like more into the stuff you use everyday tools, right? Kind of.
Yes, so it is not like that will go only over high level stuff. Like for example, let's say once we go to Linux application, we'll see how do you install a website. Okay, how do you access a website? How do you restrict somebody to log into a website? Which is which is practical. Like for example, if you go to, let's say if you have a Chase Bank account, right? If you have an account, then they will allow you to only log in, not anybody else, right? I mean, in your account. Okay, so how do they do that? What is the procedure? What is the firewall procedure? What is the something called access control list. We'll go through every single thing, whatever you will face in the practical field.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so it will not be like, oh, okay, like for example, create a user account. Okay, what's next? No, we'll go through how do you create a user account, how the user account works, how the password setting works, how the name server works, how the authentication server works. So that's why, as I said, there are a lot of things to be, a lot of things to go through. Okay, that's why it needs a lot of attention. Okay, 6 months is not too much time. 6 months is actually too little time for these two classes. But if you are, let's say, those people who get 4 in their college credit, right? They get it first time. It's not like somebody will take a course 3 times and on the 3rd time he will get a 4. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Okay, so you have to try very, very hard right from the beginning. Okay, this is a very complicated stuff, but we'll try to make it as simple as possible. Okay, I have seen some people, they never touched a computer, but they spent so much time, they learned so much that they did excel, and in computers, making 6 figures is not a big deal at all. Okay.
I see. Yes, I see. Yeah, because the thing is that, I mean, you're right. I mean, 6 months is like really long. It's like very short period. The thing is that it should be mostly in the real class, real world. It'd be more than probably a year or 2 or probably 3 years top to learn the whole infrastructure. But but 6 months basically is nothing. You're right.
Yeah. So if we spend, let's say 8 hours, 9 hours, let's say after the break and everything, it will be about 7 to 8 hours maximum in a week. I expect you to spend at least 20 hours per week.
Got it.
Like for example, the video we'll post, right? In order for you to see and type it on the command line, right? It takes time. Right, you have to pause it, then move forward, pause it, then move forward. And not only just look at it and type the command, you have to understand also what does it do. Okay, like for example, let's say, all right, let's say if I go through this machine, okay, let's move to this one. Okay, so let's say if I go to this machine, this is also a Linux machine. Let's say I become root. Why do we have to become root? Why do we have to work as a regular user? We'll see once we go through. Because normally about 99% of the time you will be doing your day-to-day work as a regular user. And when regular user cannot perform certain tasks, only then you become a super user. So let's say if I do okay, let's say if I run this command, right? You just don't run the command. What's going on? 1 second. /24. Okay, that's another thing. If you use the arrow keys, it will bring back the old commands you typed. Okay, it is called command history. All right, let's go there. We'll see it. This was 22, so 22 will be here. Okay, this is 22. So let's say, right, let's say we take ls, let's say id, let's say who. Okay, so all these commands, if we want to see it, we can see it using history. See, it says that first you type ls, ld, who, history. Okay, if we type, let's say cd, diff, okay, let's say many other commands such as, let's say nmap. Okay, if we go through history again, see, it says these are the commands we have typed. So let's say if I type a long command, for example, let's say for I in www.yahoo.com, let's say www.google.com, let's say some others such as is what with this for. All right, .com, okay. So what it is doing is it is going through a loop. Okay, loop meaning it's like, for example, let's say you start on a circle, okay, and then you come back to the end. That is called a loop. Okay, see, ping 3 different websites. Okay, tried to ping the fourth, and the fourth one didn't allow ping. Okay, so now let's say I want to type this command again. Instead of typing the whole thing, what I can do is I can do history. Okay, I can see the command number is, as you can see, it says 9, right? If I do bang, okay, bang is, or exclamation mark, whatever you call it, it's on top of number 1 on your keyboard. Okay, and then if we do 9 and hit enter, see that same command will be typed automatically. So Linux will make your life much easier. You just have to know the shortcuts. Okay, there are many other shortcuts. Okay, once we move learning all those commands, this is a script. Okay, we'll learn how to write the scripts. Okay, scripts are small programs. It's called, we do env. Okay, today I'm not going through any commands in a sequence. Okay, today is just, let's keep it as introduction to Linux. Starting Monday, we'll go through these commands one by one. Okay, these are only some of them, not all of them. Okay, but these are the most important ones. All right. You see, it says and many more. Okay, so starting Monday, we'll start from the very top. Okay, and these are not the commands. These are not something like, oh, when do I type this command? No, these are your day-to-day job. Okay, like for example, let's say, let me put it on this side. Okay, so let's say it's not like when do I type the ls command, when do I type the uname command, when do I type the cd command. Okay, it is the necessity will tell you which command to use and where to use it, when to use it. First of all, let's say I'm working on a system. I need to make sure that I'm working on the right system. So I type, let's say I don't see the name, I type uname. The first thing, the first one is operating system. The second one is the host name. There, when you will be working with 500 servers, you absolutely need to know that you are working on the right server. Okay, so I type uname. See, next one, let's say I'm looking for a file on my home directory. I want to see whether that file is there. So I type ls. Okay, I don't see it. Let's say I go to another directory, var, let's say tmp, for example. Okay, cd2var/tmp. Okay, and I type ls, right? And I'm still looking for that file. See, that's where the cd command comes in. Okay, let's say I found the file. Let's say go to tmp. All right, I see the file and I want to see when the file was created. So I use ls-ltr. Okay, so it's not like when do I type ls or when do I type that command or this command. This is your day-to-day job. Okay, whatever it is necessary, whatever command it is needed to be typed, you type that. Like for example, ls+ltr, it says the latest created file. Okay, see this file or directory, it is created in July 13th, and then it says 2014. This one is created on 743, right? So these commands are not like, do we have to memorize it? No, but we have to know how things works. Okay, like for example, let's say I am looking for a word. Say for example, okay, let's say I create a file. Okay, I want to open that file. I want to see what's in there. tmp. Okay, as I said, if you type 1 or 2 letters and hit a tab, there will, if there is only one word with that name, it will complete the word. Okay, so this is the file, let's say I created, right? So I use the command more, okay, to see the file. Let's say I want to see the file, you know, not page by page. More shows the file page by page. See? I want to see the whole file. So I do, let's say, cat. Okay, so, you know, these are the commands you will see, you will be using day to day. Like for example, let's say I want to see first 20 lines of a file. So I type head dash 20, file name, let's say tmp ls output. Okay, let's say I want to see how many times the word do in that file. So I do grep, let's say do tmp ls output. Okay, see, it shows quite a few times. Let's say I want to count it. So type wc dash l. Tell me how many lines it has this word. So it says there are 14 of them. Okay, so again, going back to when do you do this? When do you, depends on what you do, depends on what you are looking for. Like for example, if you want to install a web server, let's say, then you become root. So dash, what is the dash meaning? We'll talk about that, let's say starting next week. Okay, let's leave it for now. Okay, so I become root. Now I have a pound sign, meaning I have the highest power on this system. Before it was $sign, right? Let's say I want to install a web server. Yum dash y, meaning yes, install httpd. Okay, before I do that, all right, let's see, we know this server's IP address is .22. So if I go to a browser and if I type, let's say 192.168.1.22, it will fail because the web server is not running on that system. Okay, at one point it will fail. Now, let me install web server. Yum dash y install httpd. Okay, now let's say I start this web server, systemctl start httpd. Okay, it didn't complain. As long as it doesn't complain, meaning the command is successful. Okay, let's say I'm supposed to type enable, and I type enable 1. Okay, see, the system will complain. Okay, so if it doesn't complain, that means the command got executed. Okay, enable. Still, if I go to, okay, let me create the web page. So, okay, so if I go now, okay, on this page, I installed the website, I created a web page, still we are not able to log in. Okay, why? Because there is something called firewall. Okay, firewall. Okay, so this computer is running a firewall. It is not allowing anybody to come to the port 80. Okay, as you can see, it is only allowing something called SSH, which is port number 22. How do we know it is port number 22? Okay, See, it is allowing other computers to come on port 22, as you can see here, this one. Okay, there will be listen and there will be established. Okay, we'll see all of them. I'm just trying to show today that the power of Linux, the how do you work on a Linux system. There is nothing to be scared of. Okay, so still we cannot access to our website. Why? Because the firewall is not allowing us to access to this machine. Okay, so we'll do firewall. We'll tell the firewall, hey, let's give us access. There's CMD. Okay. Oh, let's see. See, Google can be your very good friend. So if you type, let's say, firewall, let's say you don't know the command, firewall CMD, allow, let's say HTTP. Okay, there are about few thousands people, they're waiting to teach how to do that. Okay, so let's say we type this command. It's basically said zone public. Okay, let's take this one. And oops. Okay, let's get rid of the zone public. We'll talk about that later. Okay. And then we'll say firewall CMD dash dash. Okay. Now if we do firewall CMD dash list all, as you can see, it allows HTTP. Now if we go to our website and if we do a reload, see it says welcome to the class. Okay, so this is basically a active web server now. Okay, how else do we know? Let's say somebody said now I cannot access to that web page. Let's say by mistake or for some reason. Let's say somebody stopped it. Okay, now if I want to go back again, I'll get a error message. Why? Because it cannot be loaded. So now let's say somebody complained that I cannot access the website. So what do? First thing is check whether if the web server is running. Web HTTP. No, web server is not running. Let's start it. Okay, now if we go, see it says welcome to the class. If we check it, if the web server is running, see it says yes, it is running. Okay, what does that mean? What does this line means? We'll talk about that later. Okay, there is other ways also. Let's say we want to check. See it says active and running, right? If I stop it, stop. Okay, and if I check the status now, see it says right here, active status is inactive dead, meaning it's not running at all. Okay, if I start it, if I check it now, see it says active status is active, running. Okay, there could be a lot of trouble in here. We'll see how we'll intentionally make some mistakes, and then we'll see even if you start a website, it will not start. So this is where our job comes in. When nothing works, our job is to fix it. Okay, so today will not go that much longer. Okay, as I said, I'll put all the email addresses together. I'll send you this list. And if anybody still have any issues installing VirtualBox and Linux, by the next Monday, we should have a working Linux machine on everybody's system. Okay, and starting Monday, we'll start from the Linux command line. Starting from here, Linux basic commands. Okay, why it is basic? First of all, there is no basic or there is no advanced command. Okay, I don't want to scare it, but you know why it is called basic. Basic meaning that plain and simple, right? Like for example, ls, that's it. But with ls, we can type bunch of other options, such as ls dash capital F. Okay, that has a meaning. ls dash ltr z, capital Z, that has another meaning. Okay, this is how command becomes advanced or complex. Okay, see, for example, date. Okay, let's say DATE, date, right? It shows me today is Wednesday, July 13. Then it shows me the time, and it says Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Year is 2022. In order to make it complex, what I can do is equal, let's say date, let's say plus percent y percent m percent d and code. Okay, see, it shows the date in a different format, right? It says 2022 19 meaning what? Let me copy it from here. See, good thing with party is if you just highlight it, it gets automatically copied. Okay, so let's say this is the format it shows me, right? So 2022 19 or 7. Month is not 19. This is the month. This is not the time. Okay, let's see. We did capital Y, capital M, capital D. Let's see what does it mean by capital Y, capital M, capital D. Okay, so there is something called manual. Like for example, I want to learn more about date to use its options. Okay, so let's see what does capital M mean. Okay, it will see the percent signs, right? Then it will have the options. This is how, I don't want to go through all of them, but this is how the command becomes much more complex. Okay, say for example, let's open a file called password. Okay, this is a file, very important file. I want to see what is in the first column. Okay, so I can do cat. See, we have a cat command here, plain and simple. But let's look at how complicated it becomes once I use other options. etc password 5, let's say awk print $1 and code. Okay, it's not separating. Okay, let me use another one. Sorry, cut dash F1 dash D encode. See, now it shows me the only the first column. The original file was open. Original file was open this file. Okay. And let's say for some reason I want to see whether a particular user exists. Okay. So I would like to see the first column only. So I use this command with cat is a command, right? Cat is a command. Okay. This is how commands become advanced or complex. Otherwise, all the commands basically are the same thing. Okay. So when you see Linux basic command doesn't mean there is something called advanced command. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, see, it shows me the first column. Let's say I want to go more specific. I want to see how many times the word root is there. Grep root. Okay, so it shows root only once. Okay, so what does it do? This command opens up this file. Then pipe is go through. Okay, we'll talk about pipe. Okay, go through the next command. So this one said, okay, show me the first column separated by colon. Okay, whatever the output is, go through the next portion, which is find me root. Okay. There are lots of easy commands also, like for example, let's say if I want to see where is a particular command located, I can type where is ls. Excuse me. Where is ls? It will tell me how many locations it does see the word, the command ls is. Okay. There is another command, let's say find grep ls. Okay. So ls is located on bunch of locations. Okay. So again, there is nothing to be scared of. I showed you a lot of stuff. Okay. But we'll go through one by one. First, we'll go through commands. Okay. Be familiar with Linux. Once you're familiar with the basic things, then we'll move on to like such as user add, user accounts, user password, basically user management. Then we'll move on to system management, application management, bunch of other stuff. This PDF file should have a lot of information in there, and this will get updated as we move along. Okay. See, these are some of the high level stuff like system boot up, init process, kernel initialization. Okay. Any questions so far? Or, or anybody thinking that starting tomorrow I'll not come? Anyone, any comment?
No, not that far. So the thing is that just basically we have to practice. But the thing is that the key point is, like you said, find the solution to the problem, right?
Yes. And not only just practice, you have to practice what you understand. Okay, that's another thing. Okay, like for example, I remember, I passed my metric and intermediate from Bangladesh, right? So during the metric or intermediate final exam, what we used to do was we used to memorize essays. Okay. Now I do see that there is nothing to be memorized about essay, right? You write a particular thing, you understand that thing, how that thing works, and you write about it. Okay.
Right.
So,
So basically, it comes.
so what you practice, you have to understand what you are practicing.
I see. So basically, you're saying like it comes into second language kind of way.
Yes, yes. Okay. See, these are the, this is one of the thing on the picture what you see, right? We'll talk about once we go to the TCP chapter, how a computer communicates with another computer. Okay, very, very important. Let's say if there is a failure in the communication, at what point does it fail on transport layer, or does it fail on session layer, or does it fail on application layer? Okay. Computer, as I said, is a very smart device, but also at the same time is a very dumb device, right? When I communicate with somebody, okay, I don't go through these phases, right? But computer does. First of all, they have to be physically available. Second of all, they have something called MAC address. Like every single computer has a MAC address. Let's see, MAC address. Every single computer have to have a MAC address, otherwise it cannot function. No. Come on. Oh. Okay. All right, let's see what is this computer's MAC address. Here you go. It's called physical address. Okay, it has a bunch of other addresses. Okay. This is a physical address. If I go to a Linux machine, like for example, if I do ifconfig-a, this is the IP address. This is called netmask. This is called broadcast. Okay, and here is the MAC address. This one. This is a 48-bit hexadecimal address. If you remember at the beginning of the class, we talked about analog numbers, analog information, digital numbers, hexadecimal numbers. So this is hexadecimal. We'll learn how this thing works. Okay. All right. So far, any question? Any other question? I hope all of you have this file. If not, let me know. I'll send you this one.
I was curious, when will the recording be posted on the website?
I am hoping by Friday, because the person who manages our website, see, I can do that. I know how to manage the website, but you can take only so much things. So that's why we gave our website management to another company. So I'm trying to, locate him to give me the access so I can manage the education part. So I am hoping no later than Friday.
Inshallah. Yeah, I missed a couple of the things. So because of that, if I had the video, I'll have the chance today to look up and basically go over whatever I missed. But yeah, inshallah, Friday should be fine for me too, before the class.
Okay. All right. So if there is no other question, we'll like to finish it here today. And inshallah, we'll meet on Monday at 6 o'clock. Please
Okay,
try to be on the class.
I have a
Yeah.
last question I want to ask you. The last question is this, before we go. So let's say all the video, all the stuff you're going to send it to the website. So mostly will be up to date. And when we come back on Monday at 6 p.m., So everybody will be up to date. So the question is, another thing is that, will we have to be like, let's say whatever you do on the screen, do we have to do it in certain, like every moment, every minute, or after the video is finished, then we do it from there in looking at the videos? You know, I
No,
mean,
the course is actually designed as, see, for this type of course, you have to take it in a college credit. Like for example, if it is, if these two courses in a college environment, then it would have been at least 2 semesters, maybe more. Okay, so in the college environment, they take 4 months for Linux, 4 months for AWS, okay, and they will go through, let's say, practical everything, okay. The class will be designing as that you see it on the class, how it is done, okay. Try to memorize it as much as you can. Go through the, as I said, whatever will send you the day before or before the class, okay, you will see exactly it is done in the class. And then if you have any problem doing it, then you go through the video. Like for example, let's say on the next class, right, we'll talk about what does ls-lrt mean, okay. So it will be on your manual. Before you come to the class, you look at the command, okay. You see it on the class, okay. Hear the explanation, okay. Then if you still have confusion, then go through the video, okay. It's not actually too much. When I took my Linux class, it was only 5 days, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That instructor was like, here it works. Now it is up to you to learn or not. Okay. Because if we do, like for example, if all of us have to type this command while the class is going, it will probably run about a year, because there are a lot of things to cover. So let's say I install a website, right? Install the web application, enable the firewall, created a web page, access the web page. Okay, there are a lot of things to cover, to memorize, a lot of things to memorize, right? So you see it on the class, you'll see it on a piece of, let's say, file, right? How it is done. Okay, then when you come to the class, you see it practically, you hear the explanation. Then if you still have confusion, then go through the video. Okay. Yes. Now, give me 5 minutes. 5 more minutes. I'll be there.
okay,
Yeah.
so that means so next week. So what's the next step after when everybody up to date? What's the next step we're going to do?
Yeah. So next step will be starting from here, in the command line. Okay, starting from exactly here, starting from ls, uname, man, cd. Okay, these are simple commands, as I said. Will make it complex. Okay, then you go through this command. Okay, now we don't learn command just for typing the commands. We learn command to do something. Like for example, let's say there is a command called kill. Okay, when do you use the kill command? Okay, first of all, you need to know what does it do. Okay, second thing is when to use it. Okay, there will be, let's say, for example, Okay, so let's say here is a process. Okay, what is a process? Process is basically application. Okay, so let's say this process I want to shut it down, but for some reason it cannot be shut down. The system doesn't shut it down. So what I do is kill -9 that process. Okay, see, it didn't complain, and if I go now, see, at least that process is not there. That was the number, what, 10,049. See, 10,049 is not there anymore. That process is dead. Okay, so starting Monday, we'll familiarize ourselves with these commands, and then as we move to advanced chapters, such as this, like for example, user add, then let's say this init process, troubleshooting, root password, user management. When we move on to those chapters, we'll be using those commands then. Okay, like for example, we'll learn what is cat. Okay, then we'll open, using the cat command, we'll open this file, call it CFS tab. Okay, we'll see what it does. Okay, very important file. CFS tab. Okay, like for example, let's say, let me show you this. Okay, see, this is a file called FSTab. Let's say now I remove this file. Are you sure you want to remove? Yes. Okay, the system will not complain. Okay, let me reboot this computer. Let's see what happens. Let me go to the virtual box. Okay, this is the computer we're working on. Okay. Remember, we removed a file. Let's see what happened. Okay, this computer will never, ever boot. Why? Because on that file it was written how to boot, and we remove that file. Okay, there are some situations like that in the production environment? Yes. So your job will be to fix it. Okay, so basically, how do we fix it? Using those commands, the commands on the top. Okay, not all of them, but some of them. The situation will dictate which one to use or which one not to use. See, this computer is still not booting. If we go here, see, it cannot boot because we deleted one of the most important files. Okay. So Monday we'll get, as I said, we'll get familiar with this stuff, and then we'll move on. Okay, we'll talk about run levels, a lot of stuff. All right, so see you all on Monday. And if anyone missed it, still Monday will be the last chance to join. After that, we'll be moving so much, I don't think anybody else will take.
Just a question before you go. So do you use the same link that we logged in today, or will be different link?
Yeah, it will be the same link until we change it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and
Okay,
recording, as I said, it will be posted hopefully before Friday. Okay, and I'll send you the link, where it is posted.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, all right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay,
Alaikum warahmatullahi.
Walaikum salam.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Asa mahir ko iram.
Oh, acha re bo.
আচ্ছা আমি কাউসার ভাই আর আলিম ভাই আমরা তিনজন একলগে জয়েন করছি এক জায়গা থেকে
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা ভেরি গুড
আচ্ছা আমার একটা কোয়েশ্চন আছিল
ইয়া গো ahead.
আজকে একটা ল্যাপটপ কিনছি আমরা ডেলর 8GB র্যাম 512GB SSD বাট এটার ফ্যান হইলো নিচে দি যার কারণে ল্যাপটপটা খুব বেশি গরম হয়ে গেছে
তো এটার লাগি ও একটা ইয়ে পাওয়া যায় যে কুলার পাওয়া যায়
আচ্ছা আমরা চাইলাম যদি বাই চান্স আমরা এটা রিটার্ন করিয়া এক্সচেঞ্জ করতাম পারি কিটা মনে হয় আপনার
বাদ আইডিয়া নাই বাট বেশিরভাগ ল্যাপটপেরও কিন্তু ইদানিং ইয়ে থাকে ওই যে ল্যাপটপ স্পেশালি তুমি যদি বেডের উপরে যদি বিছনার উপরে যদি রাখো এনি ল্যাপটপ উইল গেট ভেরি হট
আচ্ছা আপনারা আমি একটু দেখাই লাই ভিডিওটা অন করি আপনি একটু ভালো হইব দেখাই যায়
আচ্ছা ওটা আমার হোয়াটসঅ্যাপে কল দাও
ও জেচা আসসালামু আলাইকুম
ওকে
মহিউদ্দিন ভাই আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
একটু রাখেন আমি জুমটা বন্ধ করে দিই কারণ এগুলো রেকর্ড হইতেছে কিন্তু
ওকে জি।
একটা সেকেন্ড আমি জুমে আসলে এই প্রথম ইয়ে করাইতেছি এই জন্য আমারও একটু
I just want to make sure you have received my email. I gave it on